Salvete iterum, amici amicaeque. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Greg, and I am not a qualified Latin teacher by any means. I am a self-taught student. But I wanted to share with you what I think is some interesting, useful Latin syntax. Specifically, I'm going to cover many different possible ways to carry across this universal cursing sentiment in Latin. F-U. If Romans said this to each other, it would be in one of the following ways. First, disclaimer, once again, I'm not a teacher by any means. I will probably make many mistakes here. And this material is sourced from the book Extreme Latin by Henry Beard. So, the F word in Latin is a third conjugation verb, of course. Futuo, futuere, futui, fututus. Third conjugation means this E is short. It's not futuere, it's futuere. Futuo, futuere, futui, fututus. All right. And in each example, our basic subject / object or indirect object is going to be you. So F, you. The most basic way to say that, using the present active imperative. Mood or voice. Imperative, a direct command telling someone, go F, or F off. You would just say, futue. Or you would say, futuete, like F-U. Futue, futuete. For one person, I'm putting specific emphasis on, of course, the accent futuete. That's how you know it's imperative. When you look at the word, the imperative is always like the E on the end. But you don't say futue, you say futue. And if you're speaking to more than one person to cuss them out, you would say futuete. And to be very precise, you might want to say futuete was. Futuete was makes it very clear that you're telling multiple people F y'all. And futue or futuete is just one person. You know, if you didn't include was and you just said futuete, this person being cursed at might mistakenly think that there's an invisible person standing next to them or behind them that you're also cursing at. And you wouldn't want to leave them with that impression, which is why, it's so important to use the correct imperative, whether it's singular or plural. But we won't beleaguer that point. If you wanted to be a little more spicy, you would throw in ipsum as like the self-similar subject. Ipsum or ipse for singular or ipsos for plural. So futuete ipsum or futuete was ipsos. Meaning go bleep yourself, go bleep yourselves. All right. From here on, we're just going to consider singular. We're only going to be cursing at one person. So here we have the imperative, but using our F word in a passive voice. We've taken the F word, we have made it passive, that's futuaris. And our active imperative here is ite, go, ite, futuaris. Go get yourself blanked, or ite ut futuaris esse fias. To be more realistic, you would probably elide the words. You might not necessarily include esse. It's kind of implied when you say fias. So you might say, I tut futuaris fias. I tut futuaris esse fias. I tut esse futuaris fias. I tut esse fias futuaris. That one sounds good. I would use the last one. Doesn't that sound good? Okay, so Latin has the future imperative, which is not uncommon. It's used to give more formal commands. do something, but you need not do it right now, but it needs to happen. I'm telling you directly to do this thing in the future imperative. It's difficult to translate this into English because it just sounds silly. But in Latin, here's the future imperative, futuito, te futuito ipsum. And in English, you would have to imagine like Patrick Stewart saying it. You'd have to imagine him saying, make it so. I cannot do an impression of him. Make it so that you go bleep yourself. Okay, get it? Sort of, kind of, maybe. All right, moving on to queries. I'm not including WOLO, like I want you to go bleep yourself, because that's way too basic. Instead, we're going to be weaker than that, using potential subjunctive, asking a weak question. Velim. You see this a lot in poetry. Velim ut te futuas, or velim ut te futueres. Now, we took away ipsum because here, this is, first of all, subjunctive, present, and subjunctive, imperfect. The ending, second person, so it's you might be blanking, you were maybe blanking. And then here is our object, te, in the accusative, so it's you acting upon yourself, possibly, right now, or maybe you were doing this, hopefully, because velim ut te futuas, velim ut te futueres. This one is imperative in English. Okay, potential subjunctive. Also the potential subjunctive, but using utinam to make a stronger request. Utinam, translated as if only something, something, something. Everything following utinam is going to be contrary to fact, so it has to be in the subjunctive. So, utinam ut te futueres. You might not include ut, or you might elide it. So, utinaut, utinute te futueres. Utinute te futuas. Doesn't that sound silly? And it's a silly translation, too. Now, the infinitive. Where's the infinitive? Here it is. It's the second principal part. Futuere. Futuere. Te oportet futuere te ipsum. Oportet te futuere te ipse. Very direct. Okay. What the author Henry Beard calls a substantive purpose clause. Utilizing indirect speech by asking directly, followed by indirect speech vis-a-vis the ut clause. Te rogo ut te ipse futuas. Very eloquently translated into English. And what he calls the First-Supine, expressing a wish for the present with a verb of motion, ite. First-Supine, fututum. You would nasalize this, so it would be pronounced fututon, fututon. You kind of swallow, nasalize that M. Itut fututon te ipsum. And in English, you have to imagine William Shatner saying this line. Go yourself in order to blink yourself. Okay. Oh man, we've taken this verb and we've adverbified it. We've made it into a noun, and then we've put that in the genitive case, specifically the genitive of purpose. So futuendi gratia, pro futuendi gratia, ite ut te ipse futuendi gratia. Go for the sake of bleeping yourself. This is a good one. Remember that. What is called by some the passive periphrastic when it is included within a sentence, but all by itself, you would call it a gerund or gerundive. The gerund does not use the dative. It will use the accusative here. Futuendus es. It's like a participle. Tu futuendus es. Or the gerundive. Tibi futuendumst. These should be matched there. Tibi futuendumst. These have the same basic meaning. A person who is the object, indirect object of a gerundive, tibi futuendum est, the object has no control over whether the gerundive is going to happen. So it's gonna happen, no matter what. Therefore, tibi futuendumst. Right? The famous quote, bibamus moriendum est, uses the gerundive. And the subject in that sentence would be nobis. Bibamus quod nobis moriendum est. All right, back to reality. Future conditional statement. A future conditional statement in English will utilize the present subjunctive in Latin. Thus, si te futuas gaudeam. These are present subjunctive, but when you English it, it will have a future meaning. If you would go, bleep yourself, I might rejoice. A future perfect conditional statement in Latin will utilize the future indicative because there is no future subjunctive. Thus, si te futueris gaudebo. If you will go bleep yourself, I shall rejoice. An imperfect subjunctive is used to express a conditional statement contrary to fact. Si te futueres gauderem. If you were, then I would. I might be. And personally, one of my favorite forms, the pluperfect subjunctive, used to express a far past conditional statement that is unfortunately quite contrary to the facts at hand. That's why it's the pluperfect subjunctive. Si te futuises gauisem. If you would have gone and yourself, then I might have rejoiced. But alas, you did not. But with the ablative-absolute, all things are probable, if not possible. Tecum fututo gaudeo. You don't even have to have cum on there. You could just say te fututo gaudeo. Very succinct and great. All right, here the somewhat rare future perfect participle, which denotes a specific intention or likelihood of a thing to happen. Thus, te fututurum saluto. And wrapping things up, because I am out of steam, quick interrogatives. First, asking a yes or no question. Dicemi, te ne ipse futuaris? By appending ne onto the end of either the first word in the sentence, or you append ne onto the very, very end of the sentence. Doing either thing transforms our sentence into a simple interrogative asking yes or no. Do tell, are you going to go bleep yourself? Te ne ipse futuaris? Or in a single word, you might just say, futuaris ne? Wilt thou go be blanked? If you expect the answer to the question is going to be yes, then you use nonne. which is just ne, ne, which is appended onto nonne. So it's asking no, yes or no. So in English, we translate this as aren't. And in English, it's purely the inflection of how the question is asked is how we get across the nonne point. Nonne te ipse fututure? Well, aren't you gonna go bleep yourself? See how that works? And then num. I had to think about this one for a bit, how to craft the sentence. So we threw in the future perfect participle there, and because num is going to imply the answer is no, to get across my point, we had to become somewhat Ciceronian with our rhetoric. Num negare audes ut ipse futurum te ipsum. So that is how Marcus Tullius might have said that. Thank you for watching, and I do apologize for any confusion or errors, because I am not a teacher. Stay well, be well. Valete, amici.